spot of the grave. That night, they went back. Now, I want somebody to help us out with this. If you could just hold that torch and shine it just down here. So, they've got a lantern with a shutter on it. So they creep across the graveyard in the dark. They go straight to the tomb and they start digging. Well, the earth is soft because the person has only just been buried. They go right down and then they get to the lid of the coffin. Now, one of them's got a lever. Lifts up the coffin lid and looks inside. Something they weren't expecting. This woman, this rich woman, had been buried in a white dress. Not a shroud, her best white dress, but something else. Her whole body seemed to shimmer in the light. Why? Because she'd been buried with all her jewels. Huh? It would be much better to steal the jewels than to sell her body to the medical school. So that's what they did. All the jewels in the sack. But then they noticed something else. She had rings on all her fingers. Let's get the rings as well. So one of them starts pulling on the ring. But the fingers of the woman have swollen up. So they can't get the ring off. One of them has a brainwave. Why don't I use my knife and cut off the finger? He starts cutting. There's a grinding sound. A sudden cry of horror. And the resurrectionists shoot up out of the grave and run away straight away. Thank you for the talk. Run away straight away. Why have they done this? Because the woman had sat up in the coffin. Why was this happening? Perhaps the dead were brought back to life. No, it wasn't that at all. The reason she had sat up in the coffin was this. You see, she had fallen into a deep coma. In those days, medical science was not very exact. The doctor had come and certified her dead. She had therefore been buried alive.
Oh, no.
But the pain when her finger was cut through was so intense that she came back to consciousness. Now, there's good news and there's bad news. The good news is she spent many years after that in excellent health. The bad news is she only had 9 fingers. But you might think this is an unusual story. Not a bit of it. You see, from time to time when the grave diggers were moving the coffins around to make more space, as I said earlier, the lids of the coffins would fall off. And often, scratch marks would be seen on the inside of the coffin. But there's no record of anyone being successfully brought back. They even attached bells to some of the tombstones with ropes going down little tubes into the, I'm not making this up, into the coffin and the end of the rope alongside the hand. And the idea was if you were down there and you were buried alive and you suddenly came back to consciousness, you would pull the rope. Now, I want you to think about this. The only place this was done was in the Canongate graveyard. It's right next to the Canongate. Cobbles. In those days, the wine trade. So there'd be heavy carts rumbling down the Canongate all day long. You're down underneath. You don't know whether it's day or night when you come to. You pull the rope. Say it's the middle of the day. It's only a little bell. Nobody will hear it. Say it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You don't know that. You pull the rope. The bell rings. Now, you're the only person walking down the Canongate at 3 o'clock in the morning, going past the graveyard. Hands up. How many people round here would cross the road, climb over the wall, and go and have a look for themselves in the graveyard to find out why the bells are ringing? Oh, there's a couple of brave people over there. Yes. But obviously there weren't many brave people in Edinburgh at the time because nobody ever did it. And as a result of that, nobody was ever rescued, so all the little bells were sold as souvenirs. But the story itself about this woman coming back to life in the coffin is known as Saved by the Snatchers. But we're not going to finish down here in the dark. What we're going to do now is go up to our interpretation.